So I have noticed in recent days that there has been a rise in really wacky and kind of stupid ideologies. Like really stupid ideologies. And I've been kind of debating a lot of people in my absence who share some of these ideologies. And I find it very funny how the second you start asking for evidence or proof or anything more than trust me, bro, they act like fucking babies and they baby rage and they whine and cry and piss themselves, and then they get very angry, and then when you ban them for having the wrong opinion, they bitch about you banning them and say you're abusing your mod privs and you're a power hungry egomaniac and nobody likes you and you're a problem, and shut up, fucker. I am your god.
Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Oh, you know what time it is. Shield time. If you look down in the description, you'll see a link to a Patreon, a Rumble, and a Discord server. If you want to see the uncut versions of these videos, go ahead, check out the Rumble. I cut these videos to fit YouTube's wonderful content policies, so if you'd like to see all the spicier jokes and things that YouTube would beat me with a spoon over, go ahead, check that out. If you want to come hang out or chat or tell me I'm a fucking retard, go ahead and give the Discord server a look. And finally, if you think the content is worth it, go ahead and give the Patreon a look. You know, patron subscriptions will encourage me to continue doing this. Maybe so I don't have to get a second job. Don't know. And, it'll just help me improve the quality as well. Anything that goes into the Patreon will go back into the YouTube videos in some way, shape, or form. Also, once I finally get one patron subscriber, I will finally remove the annoying as shit Discord notifications. Marketing. So yeah. Also, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a like. If you want to see more of my videos, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to annoy your friends with my amazing voice or my squeaky chair, go ahead and share it. All right, back to the video. All right. So this video I kind of didn't know how to approach this video. So that's part of what took me so long. That and just life. But in my absence here over this July, I have noticed. We're not even noticed. This really kind of started when we bombed Iran. And that's part of why I wanted to wait a bit on this. I have noticed an influx of really crazy, weird ideas. And so I decided that I want to talk about this, but I didn't know how to do this. Just way too many wackadoo ideas. And I could do a video for each one, but that would just turn it into a very long series, and then if I did that for the foreseeable future, my channel would just be breaking down these individual stupid ideas. So I figured it would actually be better to just kind of make a general summary video of what the ideas I've encountered are and why they're stupid. And if I ever at any point I have to directly counter or find reason to make a video specifically about an individual one of these ideas, I'll do that later. So that my channel isn't consumed with just this. So the first one that I would like to approach here is monarchy, because I have seen an influx of monarchy, or monarchists, I should say. A monarchy, according to Wikipedia here, yes, this is Wikipedia, I know, sue me. A monarchy is a form of government in which a person, the monarch, reigns as head of the state for the rest of their life or until abdication, basically removal. The extent of the authority of the monarch may vary from restricted and largely symbolic constitutional monarchy to fully autocratic absolute monarchy, and may have representational, executive, legislative, and judicial functions. I've specifically run into people who want absolute monarchy, because the other form is basically just, limited to non-existent power, and obviously they don't want that because that's the majority. That's the kind of most well-known monarchy today, the British monarchy. They want an absolute monarchy. They think that the current government systems of democracies and republics have failed, and they want to reinstate this ideology. Why do they want to reinstate monarchy? Because it's old. That's what their entire fucking argument boils down to. Why should we make why should we be a monarchy? It's old. Why does monarchy work? It's old. Why is everything else wrong and monarchy isn't? It's old. That's not a very good argument. There's a lot of shit that's old. You know what else is old? Superstition. You know what else is old? The pagan pantheons. You know what else is old? Slavery. Well, I mean, that one's still going. That one's still going strong in some places, but I digress. If the argument is just it's old, you don't have an argument. And the few times I actually have talked to monarchists where I can get more than a screaming shit fest out of them, that is basically the argument they always resort to. It's old. It's traditional. So let's go ahead and logically break this down. I would actually like to draw a bit of a chart here. I've been kind of wanting to make this chart for a while, and we are going to use it here. This is the political leanings chart as determined by 9 Lives. We will call it the 9 Lives Your Shit Is Wrong chart, I guess. I don't know. We'll come up with a name later. I'll slap it on there. Now, as you will see in this chart, the political leaning charts that I've established, this is very different from really any other political leaning chart that you will find. And some people will actually argue this is an oversimplified chart. To them, I say, shut the fuck up, you're wrong. Because I have come to the conclusion through my own research, through my own conversations, and through studying history, that all political ideologies actually fall within one of 2 camps. Not 4 camps, not any, it's one of these 2 camps. It's either you are either in the authoritarian camp or you are in the libertine camp. And the only real difference is how far into those camps you go. Sometimes the closer you are to the center, the more of a the more centrist, the more hybrid of the 2 you want. You will notice that this would actually put libertarians, which would normally fall as centrist, more to the libertine side, and that actually more kind of hybrid systems like constitutional republics or things of that nature find themselves in the center of this chart, because that is the actual center point on this chart. You will also notice that monarchy and socialism are very close to each other on this chart, and so this kind of goes into why I've come to the conclusion that led me to make this chart. You see, humans are not creative. At the end of the day, we are not creative. And so if you have a person or group of persons that want to control a populace, they will just end up using the same tactics, because the same tactics always work. And if you have a person or a group of persons that wants to lean away from control and go for more independence, they will use the same ideals and same tactics, because we are not creative. History has been a constant spiral between these 2. Humans aren't creative. The same things that worked on us 1,000 years ago will work on us today. And on my studies of monarchy, it actually, my opinion, is functionally very similar to socialism. You have a government system where there is a supreme authority of some form, sometimes with advisors or a lesser authority under them, who owns the territory, owns the property, and to some extent owns the people within. These people are assigned to jobs. These people are, they have their jobs. They are not exactly given much wiggle room to climb from class to class. They are stuck where they are. They are to stay where they are, and this is enforced by the law. And they are taxed heavily and are under the whims of the government. If you are to be drafted, you get no say. If the government decides that you owe them something, you get no say. And this is all for the good of the nation, and it's all for the betterment of the nation. It's just that in one, it is an old traditionalist system, and the other paints itself as brand spanking fucking new. Socialism is not even unheard of for a socialist dictator to just be a family lineage. Meanwhile, with monarchy, For example, using England, the king wasn't even bound by his own laws until the king was forced to sign the Magna Carta. And so there are obviously minor differences, but the similarities are much more major. So they are essentially functionally the same. I would also like to point out that if the argument is monarchy is good because it is old, newsflash, democracies and republics predate our current understanding of monarchy by a lot. Israel is behind everything. The United States is a puppet nation of Israel. We are following the whims of Israel. Israel is the problem with everything. Yeah, look, I'm going to start debunking this wackadoo ideology with one simple statement. I grew up in a family of 4, 2 parents, 2 kids. We couldn't coordinate well enough to get into the car to go to church on time. Yet this argument is completely hinged on the idea that a people group that has been scattered for 2,000 years, mostly played isolationist for 2,000 years, hasn't even had a country of its own till the 60s, and while it did fight against integration for a long time, did eventually integrate into the nations that they lived in, has somehow been in cahoots with each other long enough to actually establish themselves to push around one of the major global powers. Not to mention, as we have recently seen with bombing Iran, Israel has been begging the US to help them go after the Iranian regime for 30 years. And we said no for 30 years. When we did finally agree to some level of intervention, it was on our own terms for our own interests. We told Israel not to execute the leader of the regime that they really wanted to execute. And we got out as quickly as we got in because our end goals were met. The reason that this idea exists is because there are several woke groups and left-leaning groups that claim to be Jewish. And the problem with this is if you do 2 minutes of digging, you will quickly find that these organizations are actually in no way connected to Israel as a country. They are purely Western-based organizations made by Western-founded groups and peoples to push their own ideologies that don't even claim to really care about Israel in most cases. They more care about anti-Semitism and racism and other identity politics related things. They don't even really give 2 shits about Israel. Some of them even support Palestine. And again, if you do 2 minutes of research, not only does the idea that these groups are connected to Israel fall apart really fucking quickly, you actually find that they are more directly connected to the Democratic Party through things like Act Blue and USAID and the World Economic Order, or whatever the fuck it's called. World Economic Forum, my bad. Yeah, they're connected to those things. They're not even actually fucking connected to Israel. It is mostly a theory that is held together by wackadoo conspiracy theories and Jewish people existing. And so people claim, well, it's a Jewish guy doing this, so it must have been Israel. Despite the fact that Israel hasn't been a country for that long and is made up of a people group that has been largely scattered, and not every Jewish person has connections to Israel. Actually, when Israel was reformed, there was a large Jewish movement to not go to Israel. And so a lot of Jews are not in Israel and don't have connections to Israel and never did. So it's just a really stupid thing. Like I said, it's held together by conspiracy theories and drawing connections that don't exist. And the only other grounds for any credibility is claiming, well, there's people in Israel that are in positions of power or are in government who are doing bad things or being tried for corruption. And to that, I have to say, America has bad people in power who are in government or have influence that are getting in trouble for bad things. Need I remind you the Epstein list that is a big thing right now? And mind you, none of this shit really does have a direct connection to influence on the US. I think a couple of them are like things that they did that were bad in the US, and that's about it. So the entire conspiracy theory here, this entire wackadoo ideology, is built around conspiracy theories and the fact that it's a nation that has problems like every country. It falls apart really quickly, and the people who believe this shit, again, when you ask them for evidence, when you ask them to back up what they're saying, take it personally and just get shit-ass angry, and in some cases even admit that they don't have any evidence. It's literally just a gut feeling of trust me, bro. I'm sorry, but when you're trying to make claims that when you're trying to push ideas and make claims that would affect international policy, you're gonna need a better source than trust me, bro. Now, this one I actually am gonna be doing a specific video on as well, but I am just gonna cover it here because it is a wackadoo ideology that I've been kind of dealing with recently. But I won't go into too much detail because I'm already doing a video on it. The idea that a fan base somehow owns and controls an IP, and that you should cling to it with all your might. No. Here's the thing. An IP, a franchise, is created by a person or a company, and they own it. It's their idea and their vision. The fan base forms around that, and they're just along for the ride. And while a good franchise will listen to its fan base, at the end of the day, you are not entitled to it. You are not entitled to have it go the way you want. And when it goes a direction that you don't like, and it's focused in on that, newsflash, buddy, you don't fucking own it. You can't do shit about it. And trying to cling to it and huff this form of copium that you can like make it your own or do your own thing with it or try to manipulate it in some way. I hate to break it to you, but all you're doing is justifying the people to make the choices they want, because you're just proving you're not going to let go, even though they're doing things that they know their fan base doesn't like. You don't own a franchise unless you make it. And stop trying to cling to a dying franchise. Again, I'll be going into this more in a video, but this is another wackadoo thing I've been dealing with. Really just kind of this idea that cultural things are things that you, as a member of a fan base or a community, own. When you don't, and the second you try to act like you own it, you will get a very harsh reality check. This one I specifically deal with from Europeans, but it's still fucking hilarious, and I'm gonna bring it up here. America is no longer interested in freedom and democracy and doesn't want to help Europe, so Europe is kind of justified in not liking America. Right off the bat, no, America is not interested in democracy. We've never actually been interested in democracy. We're a constitutional republic. And this whole we're a democracy thing was something that was pushed during the civil rights movement and is actually a communist-connected ideology because they wanted to try and re-educate the American citizenry into believing we are a democracy so that you could get some form of mob rule so that they could push their manipulation. Democracy is just mob rule, and if they can get people convinced that we're a democracy, they can get people to riot and push in their name, and they can build up all this popular votes and bullshit, and basically just use it to manipulate the population. Problem with that is, as of recent, the fact that we are indeed a constitutional republic and not a democracy has actually started to resurface, and now the idea that we are a constitutional republic and that is what people want to enforce has started to reemerge. For one, the idea that we're no longer interested in freedom is just downright stupid, because this is coming from Europe. Let me go into a little context of what Europe is doing right now. Britain is actually arresting people based off of blasphemy law, Islamic blasphemy laws, and for trying to expose the Islamic grooming gangs over there. Germany has just straight up no freedom of speech. And so you say the wrong thing, you criticize the wrong person, you're in shit, dick man. France, similar situation with the free speech thing. In the entirety of the EU, if you criticize immigration or Islam in any way, shape, or form, you are shunned, declared racist, and in some cases straight up arrested. There was that one journalist, I can't remember his name. He was the guy that originally kind of started exposing the grooming gangs. He has been arrested and tried twice for the same fucking thing, unjustly, mind you. There is this constant enforcement of Ukraine in the Ukraine war, which, look, I'm not saying Russia's a good guy here, but Ukraine is notoriously corrupt. Just safe to say, there is an extreme lack of freedom in Europe right now. An extreme lack. And dare I say, the EU is looking more and more like the Soviet Union every day. Yet they want to claim that the United States is no longer interested in freedom, and that's what they use to hate us. Mind you, I can drop the N-bomb right now in public, and I will get away with it. So I might upset some people, but there is no legal system that will get me in trouble. Actually, due to some recent things, I might get money for doing that. We are literally bashing the president we elected right now because he's not releasing these Epstein files. That might be changing, but you get the idea there. So we are completely bashing both the right-wing government we elected and the left-wing social order, and essentially getting away with it. Like, you can't really stop that. And on top of that, we can still criticize Islam, and we're getting rid of the immigrant problem. So I can essentially pretty much do whatever I want, and I can definitely say whatever I want and get away with it. And I can tell the government to go suck an egg, politely. You know what I mean. I don't mean egg, but you know what I mean. I can bash the government mercilessly and get away with it. But Europe thinks and claims we're the ones no longer interested in freedom. You know what the actual problem here is? Europe is upset that we started tariffing them because Europe feels like they are entitled to our economy and our defenses. NATO is just a leash to keep the US under Europe's thumb so that they can throw us at their problems. And they get upset when we tariff them, but they've had tariffs on us for way longer. So what it is they don't like us because we don't agree with them. They feel a need to control us, and they feel entitled to the benefits of being us. And the second that we stand up for ourselves and don't let them abuse us, we don't like their version of freedom. It's just fucking stupid. I know I've talked about this one extensively, but I will cover this. It's an idiot ideology, and it's not just on the side I've talked about it. Tribalism is definitely on the rise in general. You know, the idea that your side is always right, you must always align with your side. Anybody that doesn't agree with your side is a problem. And I have covered the issues with this a lot, but I want to specifically kind of in this situation cover the effects of what it is. If a game does something minorly disagreeing with the tribe, you are not allowed to enjoy it. If you do something that the creators of the game minorly don't agree with, you're a problem, you're not allowed to play the game, gamers are the problem, blah, blah, blah. And everything is just boiled down into these idiot tribes that can take no criticism, cannot internally reflect, and have completely given up their morality in favor of winning. And it has gotten to the point where if you have two brain cells to rub together like pickle chips, you're a problem to everybody, and you can't enjoy things. This is why we can't have nice things, because when we get nice things, retards try to destroy them. Let me play my video games. I don't care about your stupid gay idiot bumblefuck policies and your jackass McGee politics. I want to play my video games. And I'll wrap this video up here with kind of pointing out something else here. So, there has been a noticeable rise in Orthodox Christianity. Now, I'm not Orthodox. I have some very big issues with the Orthodox Church, but that's beside the point. I have noticed that with the rise of specifically Orthodox Christianity, there has been, and just Christianity in general, there has been a major attempt to try and push a liberalized, feminized, wokeified version of Christianity, and just a very, like, almost like a last-ditch effort push to try and reinforce it, like it's almost a last stand, it seems like. And this is stupid, because if you read your fucking Bible, you will realize very quickly that what they're pushing doesn't make sense. And I've watched a few people debate this stuff, and, you know, the biggest ones I've noticed is, like, there is the debate of feminism, like a feminist look on the church, and then this, for some reason, the idea that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. Spoiler warning, we don't. And it is all based more around identity politics than anything else, and lacks just a fundamental understanding of Christianity. This is just very dumb, and it's really more just an attempt to try and throw liberalized water on a growing religious flame, and I think it's stupid. And here's the thing, I'm a Christian, and so I think it's stupid on those grounds, but I'm actually going to claim it's stupid on the other grounds of, if this is how you want to stop this, this ain't how you fucking do it. This is an idiot loser strategy. You are losing. You're making yourself look like an idiot. Find a better strategy, because trying to manipulate the winning side to be your side, it makes you look dumb. It makes you look dumb, and it makes you look like you don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, these are just the wackadoo ideologies that I personally have been running into and dealing with. I know that there's other really big wackadoo ideologies, so I'm gonna wrap this up by kind of talking about why I think there is a sudden... I say a sudden surge, but it might be more accurate to say a surge that I've noticed. These ideologies, a lot of them have been going on for way longer, but I think there has been an overall surge in them. And I think the reason just is because we're in a very polarized point in history. And at least in the US, we're in a very interesting dynamic of shit getting done. And because of this polarization, one side is getting a lot done and another side is trying to fight it at any turn. And I think a lot of this does boil down to a mixture of the far left is seeing that they're losing, and so they're pushing in every way they can. This results in people on the right going more radical, and then there's also just the fact that we're not in a world war yet, but we're in a world at war. And with war comes an uptick in different ideology. War is just politics taken to an extreme. And so a lot of things are being brought to attention. A lot of opinions are being cemented more aggressively, and this causes people to kind of adopt opinions more strictly and become more forceful with them, and just kind of go into more bizarre wackadoo versions of these opinions. And so basically, just long story short, why do we have a bunch of wackadoo ideologies right now? Because we live in a very proactive point in human history, and with proactive points in human history, weird ideologies tend to spring up. And how you counteract this is just very simply getting the facts, trying to look at things as unbiased as possible. I know that that's impossible to not have a bias, but just try to get the facts the best you can. Try to test these ideas by those facts and by reality to the best of your ability. If it doesn't line up, if it starts kind of being too bizarro out there, just call it for what it is and don't accept it. If you can prove it wrong, it's wrong. And just, yeah, on top of all that, just remember, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. I've got opinions that people are going to disagree with. I know I've got opinions that people would declare wackadoo opinions. The people who hold the opinions that I just listed would call mine wackadoo in their own way. It's stupid. Best you can do is, like I said, get the facts, test things by the facts, and just remember opinions are like assholes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel for more of this stupid nonsense. Also, if you'd like to hang out or just call me a stupid idiot dummy face, go ahead and check out the Discord. And if you'd like to support more content like this, go ahead and give out the Patreon a check. I hope y'all have yourselves a good day.